Guys, welcome to Deadly Departed. This is another episode of Deadly Departed, and I want to apologise for not being on as much as I should have been. I have been very busy, not only with cases, but different projects and different things that are coming up, and some announcements that will actually involve you guys. So, what are we going to talk about in this episode? Well, in this episode, we're actually going to talk about the need for serious evaluation when you're taking on a case, whether it be haunting, demonic, or anything else. And that evaluation comes in a very serious aspect in terms of your mental acuity, or if you like. So when we come right back, we're going to jump into the need for psychological evaluation in cases. God bless. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to jump into this whole aspect of the need for a psychological evaluation. Now, I probably have, on average, in any given month, maybe 4 or 5 different cases that come to me, and some with more of a serious aspect to it than others. 95% of the time, or even higher than that, there is actually nothing serious there. But when there is something questionable, then obviously, myself as a professional medium, as a spirit interventionist, and working with parapsychologists and other paranormal experts, we have a need to be very, very cautious about what we take on. And I have seen relatively regularly a lot of cases that come in where they're convinced that they have demonic oppression or demonic obsession or demonic possession, and there is a great deal of kind of almost like an excitement or a need about it, when there really shouldn't be, because it's quite a serious issue. And one of the things that stops people in their tracks is when you start to say this case actually needs psychological evaluation. We need to bring in a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and they need to be able to evaluate that person. 9 times out of 10, most of these people will say they don't need an evaluation, and they don't want an evaluation, and they're not interested in having that done because they know. Now, unfortunately, that's where things get a little bit grey, because there is so many people out there claiming that they have a haunting that's going to a demonic possession or an obsession, and do not have the history to back it up, and they do not have the phenomena to back it up, and they think that just a little imbalance in the mind or negative thoughts or bad things is completely oppressive and demonic, and it's not. There is a need for anybody who's in this realm to be incredibly professional. One, because you're dealing with families and you're dealing with people that are connected to that potential person or that potential place. And so there is an emotional connection there. There is an element of trust that's there as well that needs to be built up. And you can't essentially just go in there all guns blazing saying that there's demons everywhere. And anybody who says that there is, yes, you can give them advice to help them to deal with potential problems, or what it might be, or how you would tackle something, or how you could give them education on certain aspects. But there comes a time when if there is something there that's fairly serious, and then you are ready to maybe look a little bit deeper, there has to be a psychological evaluation, because there's a very grey area between psychosis, mental psychosis, psychiatric illness, and demonic possession, obsession. There is basically a pattern. There's an intelligence. There's a pattern, and some of this pattern and some of this intelligence that actually comes through in looking at a potential case is out with the realms of science and out with the realms of even psychiatric science, and if that is a science, I'm not sure, but psychology and psychiatry. And a lot of people that are claiming that they are, having a psychiatric illness do actually suffer from, maybe some spirit obsession or spirit oppression, not necessarily demonic, by the way. And then there's the cases where people are convinced that they are haunted or that they're possessed. And I have a kind of little bit of a saying, I kind of say that if you think your house is haunted, it might be. If you know your house is haunted, it probably isn't, because there's always a scientific explanation to something. And the reason I say if you think it is and it might be is because it's confusing. There's so many different patterns to something there, but there's an intelligence behind it. And so you wouldn't know straight out. Whereas a lot of people, when they are absolutely 100% emphatically, yes, this is haunted, you find that there's a window loose, or there's something else, or there's cobwebs on their cameras, or there's so many different explanations for things. And then we come to the people who think that they're actually possessed and they're infested by thousands of demons. And I'm not going to. I'm blaming religion. Actually, I am going to blame religion and some of these evangelical type people that will say that there is so many demons inside of you. There's no proof in this. And there's no evidence, and it's, to the contrary. And so anybody who thinks that they are actually oppressed would have to go through a series of tests and a series of studies to be able to have a professional identify if that person seriously is being influenced by a demonic being or a spirit being, or is being oppressed in some way. There is a need for anybody to that is seriously, to have seriously claiming that they're possessed, or the families claiming they're possessed, to have a psychological evaluation, not just of them, but also the family connected as well. So, if you're a professional and you're out there and you have people that will come to you and say that they are actually demonically possessed, and you start to kind of believe it, and and you go down the realms of checking everything and then jumping down on the bandwagon, and you don't have any professional psychological testing or evaluations done, then it's you're kind of doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing them a disservice, because 99% of cases are actually explainable. There's very, very little out there that is seriously a diabolical possession. Excuse me. And people who think they are normally aren't. So you need to really consider, guys, when you're out there is a need for, in any case, for everyone to be psychologically evaluated. And that's something that I take incredibly seriously, because you want to be able to identify if there is psychiatric or psychological illness there. Is there a pattern of psychological illness in the family? Is there a pattern of psychosis that's developing here? And you as a medium you're not going to be able to give those answers, but you can bring in a professional that can. And we can as professionals ourselves in mediumship can actually talk to people and get the background and get the intelligence and give them advice and things. But when it comes to something that's maybe serious or maybe needing looked at deeper, you really do need to go and get a professional. You need to have a professional's opinion so that can be ruled out. And essentially that's what the Catholic Church does. That's what other organisations do as well. There is a certain standard operating procedure, SOPs, that people go through in order to be able to identify if this is a real case or not. So that's just one thing that I wanted to talk about. I'm sure there's a lot of professional paranormal groups out there that do actually have connections. I know that my connection with the Wisconsin Paranormal Society and my good friends Kev and Jen, they do have professionals on their team as well that would be used. And I know of other professionals out there that have connections with psychiatrists and psychologists that they will bring in, as well as mediums, intuitives, etc. So it's important that every case that actually comes in, that you seriously look at it from a medical, psychiatric, and a kind of mental imbalance, rather than say illness, a mental imbalance within the person, because there could be anything that's wrong. It could be emotions, things that they're going through. Also, what I want to say is, and this is, and I have to be very careful, because a lot of people that actually think they're demonically possessed and go out there and push it are really attention seeking, and there's a great deal of attention. So you have to look at their whole, their background, their life, and as it is now in the present. Are they lonely? Do they have friends? What is their environment like? Where do they work? There's so many different levels to this that you need to look at, because you'll probably find that a great deal of them, there's a great deal of attention seeking there, and that's another thing that needs to be. Yes, you can be jovial. Yes, you can be professional and you can connect with them, but just remember, there's a lot of attention seeking in this paranormal field. There's a lot of attention seeking when people are claiming to be diabolically possessed and they're not. There is a pattern to diabolical possession. There is an intelligence. There is also the same in obsession and oppression before even you get to possession. So be very, very careful. Don't jump on the bandwagon, and make sure that you have all your bases covered, that you actually go through you connect, you have a relationship with a professional, with a psychologist, with a psychiatrist, someone that you can rely on, that can actually help you to evaluate that case. It's important that this is evaluated professionally. If you've got any questions, guys, then please get back to me. If you haven't been here before, then welcome, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you've got any questions that you want to know about the afterlife or the paranormal or anything else for that matter, then just hit us up, messages. If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, make sure you subscribe on iTunes. And I look forward to sharing some more knowledge with those of you out there, and also bringing in some very special guests soon who will be chatting with me some more. So have a wonderful evening, guys, wherever you are. God bless.